clip and I replaced a lagging clip, but it was still missing a clip. It was really, really stressful. And then I really wanted to stream, but it was already like midnight, and I was like, I don't want to stream at midnight and no one's gonna be there, and like, I don't know. I was just freaking out. But yeah, this is our new build. I wonder if Remnant's gonna do anything for us. So yeah, this is the no shooting the gun build. Oh my goodness, this works so freaking good. It's kind of dumb. This is pretty dumb. Yep. Cool. Okay.
Plus 70 elemental damage. Oh, let's see what we do here. Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. Oh my goodness. Oh no.
Yo guys, what is up? Moxiva here with another Borderlands 3 video, and today we have a new build for you guys. A really cool, interesting build. This build falls under the category of like novelty builds. It's a really fun build to use and try, and it works really well. But it isn't like as serious of a build as, for example, like my Blazing Breakneck Banshee or like Shock and Awe build. This is more for like something that really cool if you're looking for like a different thing to do on Amara. But it works really well, and we're about to explain on how it works. So the build started with the idea of what other class mods are good for Amara, or what can she use besides the Phazerker class mod and besides her melee class mod. Someone in my Discord by the name of Aints mentioned that the Nimbus can be scaled with the gun, the dot damage that the gun that you're holding does. And so that is where he was the one that turned me on to this, and we're going to be using a Nimbus class mod. And the Nimbus class mod, whenever Mara first damages an enemy with her action skill, she creates a damaging cloud of her action skill element at that location. Cloud damage plus 25 per second. So originally testing this out, it's kind of a terrible class mod, but if you're holding the right weapon that has the right amount of dot damage, this can become absolutely broken, as you just saw. And we are going to be holding the Killer-Wisp with its 9,050 damage per second, which now we're going to be giving our Nimbus dot that, but it gets boosted by gun damage bonuses. So whatever the damage of the gun that we're going to be doing is also boosting the damage of the cloud. And there's a lot of weird interactions, and we'll go over what doesn't work and what does work, because some things work and some things don't. But I've seen this dot hitting for 45,000 a tick easily, and it just ramps up really quickly. And if you have the right setup, if you're using this build, the the dot damage will kill just about any enemy in the game. Some of the bosses, the dot is weird on, and they have to be standing in it, so it works a lot better on phase graspable enemies. But yeah, with that, let's get into the build, the skill interactions, and show you guys how this all works. So for the build here, the most important things are boosts to gun damage and elemental effect chance. We're not using our gun, but boosting gun damage is going to be increasing the damage of the cloud. We were going to want action skill damage, or action skill cooldown rate. But yeah, let's show you guys what we're going into. So Violent Tapestry is super, super helpful for this. It seems like the cloud has a chance to apply a status effect kind of on every tick. And sometimes it ramps up really quickly because it'll keep applying a status effect over and over again. And when that happens, you get crazy melts. And sometimes it slows down or it stops. The cloud is still there, but it didn't hit the opponent with the status effect. And so the damage is a little bit slower. So Violent Tapestry is super helpful for us. Then we're going to want full cooldown because we're just going to be using our action skill. We're going to want Ascendant because for the increased effects. I've played around a lot with the what we're going to want for our action skill augment and ability. But right now we're just going to go do harm as well. Just till we get down to these points. The interesting thing about this cloud is it isn't action skill damage. It doesn't count as action skill damage. It's damage of its own. We know that it's not action skill damage because Remnant doesn't proc when it kills things, ever. Sometimes Remnant is buggy, but Remnant doesn't proc, so we know it's not action skill damage. So these points into do harm are totally optional. If you want reload speed or critical hit damage, you can go for that. We're not really shooting, so these don't really matter to us. But if we do go Ties That Bind as our skill, do harm will increase the damage that enemies take. So for that we can take it, but yeah. The points are a little here and there. Then we're going to get Laid Bare and Wrath. The enemy that's going to get grasped is going to take increased damage. And this boost to gun damage boosts the dot damage. Couldn't explain why, but it does. And then we want Rush Stack Effectiveness for more bonuses to elemental effect chance. And then we're getting Avatar so that we get the multiple action skills per one cooldown. Here, Anima is a no-brainer. It's going to boost our dot damage, which is really good. And then Tempest is really good as well. It's going to increase our elemental damage. I've played around with Shock and Fire on this. Both work very well depending on what enemies you're going against. Shock is boosted more by this, so I found that Shock can work really, really well. But Fire is good as well. Dread does work with this, so the gun damage boost from Dread is going to increase the cloud damage that we're getting, which is also really cool. Here we're going to get Wildfire for a chance for that dot to spread. And then here, these points are really optional. Personal Space does not work with boosting the damage of the cloud. I don't know why, but it doesn't. The only thing that boosts the damage of the cloud are Jab Cross, Laid Bare, Wrath, and like things that to boost elemental damage. So not going into Personal Space over there. So whatever you want here. I was putting 1 point into Catharsis just for the explosions, which are cool. And then you could put like 3 points into Ricochet. And then these last 2 points can go into Sustainment. Conflux is a horrible skill. Just going to say that. If you guys haven't heard me talk about it before, it is based on a set number. There's nothing you can do to boost Conflux's damage. No matter what you're spec'd into, Conflux will hit for 300 damage per tick against its weakness. So like Corrosive versus Armor will be around 300. You'll see it like 316, 320, 330, 290. It'll be around 300. And then when it's against something that it's not strong against, like armor versus or corrosive versus flesh, it'll tick for around 100. Our dot is going to be ticking for 45,000 to tick. So this is just kind of pointless skill. But our class mod boosts it. If you're looking for the best Nimbus class mod, you're going to want the most points into Tempest and Violent Tapestry. These Conflux points don't really matter. And then for our action skill, so there's two things that you could do here. Phase Grass works well, and Ties That Bind works well. The Eternal Fist, the new targets that are grasped don't get the dot. The dot doesn't apply a second time when you grasp them. And you could use Stillness of Mind and Ties That Bind with this to just lock everyone up in the air and do a bunch of damage to them. However, in testing, it's weird because it seems like the Ties That Bind dot doesn't do that much damage to the linked enemies. Like the linked enemies, just for some reason, like the main enemy will be taking like 35k dot ticks, and the unlinked enemies are getting hit for like 300. So I don't know what's going on with that, but I found that just using Phase Grass with the lower cooldown with Allure is the best. It seems like the dot doesn't really share to close by enemies unless they get touched by it directly. So I like using Phase Grasp and Allure, and then because we have Ascendant, that Allure Pearl is going to be bigger, and then the enemies that get pulled in there will get hit by the dot if we have a high status effect chance, and then those enemies will die a lot faster than what I was seeing with Ties That Bind. So that's really nice. So lastly, for the gear and the weapons and kind of more on how this works, first off, this sustainment is really nice. It's pretty hard to die during this. We're going to be using a Transformer shield. Mine's anointed for Phase Slam, like doesn't matter. Just any Transformer is fine. It can convert 100% of shock damage into shields, and it'll absorb bullets, adding to your ammo count. So this shield makes us pretty tanky in its own. We're going to be running around with the Kill-A-Wisp out, so we can heal ourselves and our shields. For some reason, sustainment procs when we damage ourselves with this gun, or with the gun. So we're going to be healing ourselves from sustainment when we shoot ourselves, but we're also going to be healing our shield. So that's really, really nice. Another option for this build is you can use the Elemental Projector and Fire, which works really well. It'll boost the fire dot damage a ton. You don't need to do this. So if you're looking for the most damage, you could use a Elemental Projector and not the Transformer, and don't do the shock damage or apply a shock dot to yourself. The damage seems pretty crazy even without it, but up to you guys. I was testing around with the Electric Banjo just for the increased electrocute chance and the shock damage. The actual star power bullet proc on the Electric Banjo doesn't do anything for the dot. So I've been testing around either the Elemental Projector or an Electric Banjo, depending if you want to use fire or shock. But I would use something like this with bonus incendiary damage if I was using the fire. And if I wanted to use shock, I would use something like the Electric Banjo. Just because the damage and the chance is nice. So totally up to you guys. For different bosses, different areas, one will be better. This is really nice as well, like action skill cooldown rate would also work real nice with this. But the dot procs off of the gun that you're currently holding. So if I'm going to shoot myself with the sellout, I'd want to use the ability while I'm holding the Kill-A-Wisp. If you switch guns while the dot is proccing, the dot will actually decrease. So, like, light yourself on fire, hit an enemy with the phase grasp, and then they'll start taking the dot from the Kill-A-Wisp, but we'll be doing a lot more damage because of the elemental projector. Grenades don't really matter for this. You can use the grenade that I liked using with this, which is the It's Piss grenade. The It's Piss, enemies take 20% increased damage for 6 seconds because we're relying on our action skill for damage, which isn't the most reliable thing. The It's Piss grenade is really nice for killing groups and bosses. And then on the Nimbus itself, it seems like this whole thing scales from elemental damage and the damage to the weapon you're holding. So if I could get this with like incendiary damage or shock damage or something like that, that would be really nice. But this plus 31% shotgun damage does work for us because it scales with the Kill-A-Wisp. So yeah, a lot of weird, intricate moving parts of this build that work really well together for some reason. But it's a fun build to give a try, and I hope you guys enjoyed and learned something new. We'll probably end the video with a little bit of gameplay at the end. So, hope you guys enjoyed, and peace. Guys, real quick, one last thing. This build, like, you obviously don't need to shoot your guns. You'll kill everything not shooting your guns. I'm not shooting my guns just for the demonstration purposes of this video, but like, you'd kill things faster if you were shooting your guns, obviously. And the Kill-A-Wisp works really well for this. As you can see, like, it's gonna do a ton of damage. It'll one-shot enemies too with our build. So build works really well. A lot of fun. I know I have, I guess, lower cooldowns right now. This build doesn't need that. It doesn't require it. I know you guys don't like seeing builds with glitch cooldowns. None of my builds require glitch cooldowns. Unfortunately, the way it is in the game, I can't remove my Guardian ranks. And if I want to spec into points and show you guys the builds and go point for point, I get the respec glitch. There isn't any way around it. It's not relying on the phase zerker. It just does the glitch. So I apologize about that. It's as frustrating for me as it is for you guys. So I hope you understand. But yeah, this is the build. As you can see, it'll run through just about any content. It is a cool build to see a lot of like area effect damage and all these dots going everywhere. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I will catch you guys next time. Peace.